Hi everyone, thanks for listening to this new podcast. In today's session, we're going to go through the 10 fundamental precepts in Buddhism. And the 10 precepts are known to be sacred. So when we listen to them and we let them sink in our hearts. And we don't take them lightly. So it's not just literature or something to be taken or something to be read just for the sake of reading. It's something that we read very carefully. We let the words sink in our heart and we let these words transform us as we read them every day and we act upon them. So you may use this recording to start your meditation, or after you meditate, you can actually go through the precepts before you start off your day. Alright? So we're now going to run through the 10 fundamental precepts one at a time. So the first precept is about seeking as you can in this body and life to refrain from the killing of life. So we live our life in such a way that we try not to take the life of another sentient beings. And by sentient beings we mean beings having a nervous system. So we're not talking about plants or trees, even if they are alive and they do have Buddha nature in that sense, but that's not what the precept is talking about. The precept is about killing the life, taking the life, of a sentient being. The second precept is to seek as you can in this body and life to live in generosity and refrain from taking that which is not given. So it's about living your life in a very kind manner, sharing, giving when you can, and not taking that which is not given to you. So it's mainly about stealing or taking something which is not yours. The third precept is about seeking as you can in this body and life to refrain from misusing sexuality and all desire. So it's about that tendency to have too many desires, desiring too many things. And there's a specific reference to sex here because if you're obsessed with sex, it usually blurs your mind. And this is why it's mentioned in the third precept here. Number 4, to seek as you can in this body and life to refrain from false and malicious speech. So it's about refraining to not speak the truth. Number 5, to seek as you can in this body and life to refrain from intoxication in its many forms. So we can link that to the consumption of alcohol, because when you are intoxicated, you don't have your normal mental state, and that's where you can do things you may regret. This is why we have a precept just on intoxication. Number 6, to refrain from unconstructively criticizing the errors and faults of others. So we live in a life where it's very easy to criticize others without actually having a look at ourselves. So we refrain from criticizing others in an unconstructive manner, meaning you can still look at what others have done and try to look at it in a very objective and constructive manner, so that you're trying to find a solution, you're trying to improve the person. So this is fine, but here the precept is talking about criticizing as a means of doing harm. So that's what we refrain from doing. Number 7, to refrain from praising oneself and judging others. So this one, actually refers to the ego. So every time you try to praise yourself too much, you're actually boosting the ego. And when you feel too proud of you, you actually think that you're better than others. So that's where you lose that oneness we have with everyone. So that's why we refrain from praising ourselves. Doesn't mean that you can't feel good about the things you do. You can, but we don't try to let it get to our head. And we also try not to judge others, thinking that we're actually better than them. Number 8 is to refrain from stinginess in bestowing the Buddhist teachings and all precious things. So, if you have the wisdom which we are sharing right now, you want to share it to others, that's good. But if you try to keep the wisdom for yourself, the good practice for yourself, so that you're more you're stronger mentally than others because you know about these precepts, you meditate, then it's not good. So you try to have as many people as you can, and you try to share as much as you can. This is what the precept is about. Number 9, to seek as you can in this body and life to refrain from all anger. So you try to not let anger control you, because when it does, that's when you do things that once again you may regret afterwards. So if you do feel angry, you try to isolate yourself, let the anger calm down, or you do an activity where you can actually vent anger without causing harm to yourself or others. This is what we're talking about. But you don't act in an angry way, because you may regret what you may do when you're angry. And number 10, to seek as you can in this body and life to refrain from disparaging the 3 treasures, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So you don't act in a way so that you demean the teachings of the Buddha. You don't demean your own Buddha nature by actually acting in ways that do not resemble your Buddha nature. So the 3 treasures are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is your own Buddha nature. You don't act in ways so that you're demeaning the Buddha nature in you. The Dharma means the teachings, so you don't demean the teachings of the Buddha. You try to treasure what you have and help people with what you have. And the Sangha is the community. So the people around you, you treasure them as well. So that was a rundown for the 10 precepts in Buddhism. And I hope that you're going to add these precepts to your practice, because they are wonderful as precepts.